welcome to our Threads of Success podcast, Archana. So where we engage with accomplished slow fashion entrepreneurs and industry thought leaders, shedding light on their journey and their digital transformation efforts to drive their business efficiency and growth. So today I have with me Archana Ravi, founder of this conscious clothing brand called SlowThreads, which is a small and purpose-driven fashion brand that curates a collection of timeless clothing made from eco-friendly materials and produced under ethical practices. So that's from my side. I would love to kind of hear from you, Archana, how you define your brand and start from how did you start the brand from the beginning.
Sure. So thank you, Amit. So first, I'd like to kind of say that I'm not a thought leader, really. Yet at least in the industry of fashion, definitely not. I'm still learning because we're a very young company. We just started in 2022, and I don't have a design background. So to kind of sum it up, I never had an intention to start a fashion brand at all. I had a very busy corporate job. Life after 18 years of being in the corporate industry, I kind of decided to call it quits. And it just happened suddenly. And then I started my quest to find out what should I do next. And it took me a lot of experimenting. I started learning data science because I have an interest in data in general. And then suddenly, I wasn't sure what I should be doing next. As flimsy as it may sound, I love to shop. I'm a massive, I have been, I can't say I'm still a shopaholic. I was a massive shopaholic. If you ask me, I'm your typical shopaholic. I'd spend a lot of money buying a lot of clothes. My mind was like more the merrier, that kind of a person. And then I was like, this is what I truly enjoy. And let me just see if fashion is something that, I can venture into. And I know it's a serious business and it's not something that I've had an experience in. So I just started researching. I said, you know what, I'm going to do it like a project. So I started doing my research, and that's when as I was reading about sustainable fashion and, the impact of fast fashion. And I realized I'm somebody who's a fast fashion consumer, like a big time consumer of fast fashion. Yeah. Because I didn't know better. For me, it didn't make a difference. Like, I didn't know there was something like fast fashion, slow fashion, any of that. I just knew fashion is fashion. And as the more I researched, I was like, you know what, if I ever get into something, if I start in the business of fashion, I can't add to the ever-growing mess. Like it has to be in a better way of doing it. I want to do it the right way. And that's only with more and more, as you see it, you see the impact it has on people who are using it, people who are making it, be it the way they paid wages, fair wages or not, and how the kind of chemicals they're working with and all of that. So I thought, no, I don't think I want to do it that way. So then I realized I want to do slow fashion. Reason why I did slow fashion is I've realized that as a brand, you can really never truly be completely sustainable. It's not easy. And I've talked about this in the past because sustainability extends to a lot of things. It's not just saying I'm sustainable and picking natural fabrics and just paying the right wages. All things you can do, but there are other aspects to sustainability as well, which is a bigger aspect. And unfortunately, the way we live now, it's very difficult to be completely sustainable. Somewhere I thought, if I say I'm a sustainable brand, I didn't feel like I was being honest. So we are a slow fashion brand. And why do I call ourselves a slow fashion brand is because we're very intentional in the way we make our garments, which is we are mindful with the kind of materials we're using. We're using only natural fabrics, like you would know. We work with Khadi cotton, Kala cotton, which is again an amazing fabric. It's a carbon neutral garment almost. And then hemp, of course. So these are the three kind of fabrics that I mainly work with, and I try to work majorly with hand woven fabric because I also want to kind of use the craftsmanship that comes with our artisans here in India. And I think it is being tapped into a lot. A lot of people do engage and work with artisans. So I do, I see value in it because there's such a difference in the fabric. It's more airy. There's that story behind that fabric and garment. Other thing is small batch. I don't produce in mass numbers. I make them in small numbers. I do small batch production. So that's another. And in terms of fair wages, I can claim that we are paying fair wages because all I do is, whatever is the asking of the weaver, of the artisan that I'm working with, I pretty much give them what they're asking for. So, but I don't know if that's the right thing, because sometimes I think artisans undervalue themselves, underquote as well, because they don't know best. And so I can sit here and claim, okay, that, I'm paying fair wages, but I don't know. But I'm doing whatever's right, whatever's being asked, I'm trying to do that. So hence, I think that we are a slow fashion brand rather than, so we're just mindful in the way we make our garments. We try to be mindful in the way we can do it. So I wouldn't call it sustainable really. I would still say we're just a slow fashion brand and we're learning. So that's how, that's the kind of genesis of our idea, if you kind of ask me.
Brilliant. So before I dive into your business a little bit, and I'd like to kind of say one thing is that although you come from corporates, and even I being an outsider from the industry, so I feel that you being an outsider from the industry, you bring a different perspective to the way you do business, the way you understand these nuances of slow fashion. So like for you, because you come from IT and data, as I said, like how was the journey like, and did you face any challenges, difficulties? How do you tackle it, and how did it kind of, your previous experience helped you to kind of set up this? Did you find that smooth or challenging? How was that?
So the challenges that I had was when I started, I didn't know what I should do. Like I didn't know, how do I find my artisan? How do I find my weaver? I just didn't know where to start, because I've realized that in this industry, a lot of the information is very closely guarded. Like people don't want to give out information very easily. But I think some of it is changing. I had, the only good thing that worked was, speaking to people and having contacts, like who had contacts in the industry, and then reaching out to them, especially when I was, initially launching, because I didn't know how to work with it. I had this really young kid. She was a design grad, and she kind of worked alongside me. I got her on board. She was an intern. She wanted to freelance and work with me for a few months because actually I didn't have the funding. I didn't have the money at that point as well to kind of expend too much money. So she knew, she is from the, so people who come from design schools have that resource to a large extent. They come with that backing. They know whom to reach out to, and they have contact. So she did kind of introduce me to a few people. The other thing I did was research. Massive research. And I'm telling you, I've realized that Google and Instagram for me have been amazing places where I've found all my contacts. Like I've reached out and I've, done my research, and that's how I've kind of been able to do things. My existing job, how it helped me is the fact that, so I've predominantly worked in customer management most of my life, but I worked with insurance companies, fintech companies, banks. I've worked with different kinds of, and then telecom. I've worked with different kinds of companies. So I think customer management is what comes very easily to me. And process-wise, because I've come with that experience, I've set up teams, I've built teams from scratch, so I'm able to do that. Like I'm able to, put a process in place. Like when I started out, it was all over the place. But then I was very conscious that whatever I do, I will have I will document wherever possible. I will capture information. So I have them, but they're all a little all over the place, and I'm trying to structure them. But because I'm doing everything on my own, I'm a solo entrepreneur. But I think there was a system even in the madness, because I know what to expect, because I've been through this, I've done this, but just in different industries. So, and dealing with people mostly. I think that's the advantage, like be it with my artisans, be it with my team, who do my manufacturing, and be it with customers. So people management is a skill that I've been able to take back, and marketing to some extent from my work. I've been a consumer, so I'm seeing it from my view rather, I'm seeing as a consumer, what would I look for things is what I look for when I do my business. And I think those are the things. But then, I mean, people who've been in the industry, who've been in the fashion industry, by leaps and bounds, they have a lot of benefit that comes with being, in that industry, having studied fashion, which I don't have. So that's the only area I wish I could kind of, really have help with.
I mean, you're learning as you go, like, and there's a lot of things, so that's obviously going to help. So like, let's deep dive into the process of a business, like in the sense, what are the sales channels that you're using right now, online, offline, and how do you like acquire your first customers, if you have to like remember when you started? So my first customers were my contacts, my friends, and people I know.
I'm not from the industry, and I didn't have a customer base per se to work with, but, and I reached out to my friends and I said, you know what, I'm starting a brand. This is my website, have a look, see if you like something and let me know. And I started, publishing it. I put it up on Instagram and all of that. A majority of my first sale, except for one customer who randomly saw a Google ad and, bought from us, was the first month. It was all contacts, all people I knew. The next thing that I did though was, because I don't have a customer base to work with, I started doing pop-ups, physical pop-ups.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it, because when people don't know anything about you, if they meet you, they know there's a person to that brand, and they know the clothes have this person that they can, put a face to or whatever. So they find it more trustworthy. And I think then they're more willing to say, okay, I don't mind trying the brand. And then if you're able to kind of, then right there, the advantage that I have, and I enjoy, going to a pop-up, because one, I'm someone who loves to meet people. The other thing is, sometimes someone has this doubt, self-doubt. Oh, I don't think that dress will look great on me. And that's what they come to me with. I don't think that'll look good on me. The first thing I do is I tell them, why don't you try it on? I actually get them to try it on then and there. They wear it and they're like, wow, it looks nice on me. Or I'll say, what, that doesn't look good on you, but I think this will look good on you. And that's something that you're not able to do when it's online, unfortunately. I mean, there are ways you can recommend and recommendation and kind of work on those lines. So that helped a lot.
So how frequently are you doing like physical pop-ups? Or are still doing it on a continuous basis?
I still think I will continue doing pop-ups, but I'll bring down the number of pop-ups I do. I did from March 2022 till now, I've done about 13 pop-ups. And they've been in majorly around in Chennai, in Bangalore, in Hyderabad, and in Kochi. 4 cities in India for now. Those are the only cities that I've done it in. But the experience has been different in every place, and you learn something or the other. And the good thing is, that's where I got my customer base. And then, I built on that. For them, they would wear something, they would share that with us. I would share the story. Their friends would see it. They've placed orders. I've had referrals like that as well happen. So we're still growing. We're a very small company. I don't have too many customers really to, gloat about, to be honest. But I see that the growth is slow, which is, what I kind of anticipate as well. But the good thing is I see people wear something and then someone they know see it and then they buy it. So that's how it's been, at least for the last year.
How are you researching and finding these pop-ups? Is it a process that you're following to finalize it? This is the pop-up I'll do. How are you researching and finding them and finalizing them? Yeah.
One is mostly through social media, Instagram. I follow other brands. I see if they have stores that they run. Like I know like-minded brands, like sustainable, slow fashion, whatever brands, or similar kind of brands. The similar kind of minimalistic attire, the kind of clothes that we have. If they have the similar kind of attire, I look at those brands, see where they are, exhibiting. Sometimes I even reach out to brands and ask them if they've been part of that exhibition and say, how has that been for you? I mean, has it worked for you? Do you think it's interesting to try it out? So, they'll give either honest feedback and say, yeah, or they'll say, no, maybe you want to think through, it wasn't great. So, and I ask around. I don't just ask one person. I ask people who somebody else who's there. I won't say I got all of them right. I have done many where I lost a lot of money, but it's a trial and error. And then you have an idea. You look at social media, you look at their posts on social media, how it is. You look at the kind of crowd they're bringing in. The kind of customers, your target customers, if they're coming into that exhibition. You look for those cues, and then I kind of pick my exhibitions really.
Okay. Great. So let's move to a little more online channels probably, and I see that you're using Shopify probably to develop. I mean, that's most of the I think any e-commerce brands out there mostly are using this. So from your experience, how is the journey like using Shopify, and what are the essential plugins that probably you're using to fast track the growth and all aspects of the business?
So so when I started out, so my husband's into UX, user experience, for that. When I started out, I wasn't sure of which direction I should be moving in. he did some research and he knows he's worked with this. And so he kind of suggested that I start with Shopify at that point in time. And then I started doing my own research. I started talking to people as well. Now, Shopify is great when you have some volume and it builds credibility. The other thing is it's very well integrated with a lot of tools and solutions. Like, for example, I've integrated it with ShipRocket. We have payment providers like Razorpay that's integrated into it. It's pretty seamless. You get analytics on it. I can do my inventory management on it. There's like a ton of things. So I'm not even I'm probably using 5 to 10% of what they do offer. And the other good, they have amazing themes. And it is to a large extent a no-code, or low-code platform, if you ask me. Like for me, like me who doesn't understand it. So I do pretty much setting up of my site. The only first time my husband set it up for me. And once that was done, it's just been me, in fact, adding in details, changing, adding pages, things like that. So it's easy to work with. It's fairly easy to work with. I find that very seamless. But it comes at a cost. The cost is much higher than what you would have with a WooCommerce, which is way cheaper. I haven't used WooCommerce, but I hear it's not bad either. It's something that people, start off on. When you're on Shopify, it's probably over time when you work on your SEO and all of that, it's easier for your website that's on Shopify to be pulled up, rather than some other platform. At least that's what I hear. So I can't say I've used it too extensively. The other thing is now recently we've gotten ourselves on Etsy, and I noticed the integration was so seamless. I literally ported my products from my Shopify site to Etsy, and it was amazing. It was just a button with very minimal changes, and I hadn't known there was a plugin for that. So I just put the plugin, and then it was done like in a jiffy. So it's really good that way. It integrates very well with a lot of platforms. So
true. They have a lot of integration, and so that it minimizes your effort to focus and just focus on the brand building and product. So that's great. And I was little researching on the tools that you use.
Okay.
But what are the marketing process that you're using to kind of reach out?
It's very nascent, if you ask me. So the only thing that I have automated is the triggers that go to a customer when they kind of are on board, and then we have a email going out to them saying thank you, and for the order when they make an order and all of that. I'm not really as regular as I'd like to be with my email marketing. I am still figuring those bits out. I'm kind of trying to put automation in place. That's my next step for this year, that I automate a lot of things so that it's less of me implementing it. It just happens on the go with minimal intervention from mine, and that's my aim for the current year. But in general, so if you ask me overall tools in terms of marketing our business, SlowThreads as a business. One, of course, we are on Instagram and Facebook. We are on social media, so we're out there using it. I use the Meta Business Suite, which is part of Facebook. Their native tool or whatever, and it's amazing because it allows me to run ads. It allows me to analyze the ads. It allows me to plan and schedule posts. So I find it very useful. The only thing is that I can only do it for Instagram and Facebook, but I'm quite happy to do that. So it helps me that way. It gives me the data that I need all on one place, and I do that a lot sometimes, where I just schedule it upfront for like 10 days. I leave it on, so it helps me manage my time. I sit on one day, plan all of those out, and I do it. So that's one thing. The other thing is I use Canva extensively. Be it for, if I take the simplest example, resizing images for my website. They have a certain size specification. It's as simple as that. You do that. To making videos or, your carousel and, page, Instagram posts and all of that, it gives you so much flexibility like nothing else does. I'm in love with the tool because
do you use the paid version?
I use the paid version. It's barely $3.9 something. It's not, and for a business like ours, if you're in fashion and things like that, you do want to use a paid version as much as you can. It gives you more functionality. So I use the paid version and I love Canva. So that's another tool that I work with. The other thing is ChatGPT. Again, absolutely in love with the tool. Because if you're a small business who doesn't have the budgets to one, budgets and time. Like for me, I think I fairly communicate reasonably nicely. The other thing is, but sitting and spending time thinking of my product descriptions, or even if it's social media, the content on social media for topics, sometimes you're struggling. So ChatGPT is amazing. It helps you just save so much time that I just refer to it. I'm able to take inspiration, but you can never just copy, because if you copy, then what happens is, one, there's no authenticity. It's not your brand's voice, and the other thing is, it becomes monotonous. So it has to have your what do I say, your tone in it, and or your brand tone in it, and all of that. But it does save at least 50% of my time when I do product descriptions, or be it social media management, social media posts, or marketing posts and things like that, creating marketing content. It helps me a lot. Like if I want to put together a deck, it helps give me a flow, a structure, and then I build on it. So I think it's an amazing tool for anybody starting out. If you have a small business, or anybody for that matter. The free version. I'm not on the paid version yet. I'm only using the free version. It still does an amazing job.
So sure, I'm ChatGPT. Everyone is using. I don't know. Somebody using computer and not ChatGPT. Unheard of. So moving on, can you describe who are your ideal customers, and how do you do you use any analytics tools to understand their behavior? Apart from the physical pop-ups, probably is there, but digitally, do you do any process to understand who are this guy? People.
So I have an understanding based on the pop-ups that I've done, of who my ideal customers. Like I over time, I've kind of realized, like our customers are fairly eco-conscious. And they're mature women, in a certain age group of 30 and above. And they enjoy a blend of this, the modern aesthetics with a bit of traditional influence on the garment. Like we are using woven fabrics, hand woven fabrics. They don't mind that. And of course, they have the sensibilities of wanting something which is a little more minimalistic, And our garments are functional as well. So women who are on the go most of the time, people who are on the go are going out either, working or not, are on the move most of the time, and they don't mind wearing something that's very comfortable yet can look nice on them, smart on them, or whatever. So we have that kind of a customer base that we look for, so that kind of defines our target segment. If you ask me how do I find them, it's only, and like I know there are certain locations. For example, if I take as a city, I've noticed that the customers of Bangalore and customers of Cochin resonate a lot with our brand. We've got a lot more customers in Bangalore and Kochi, because I think their aesthetic sense kind of matches the kind of clothing we have. So if I kind of drill down city-wise, but those are the only cities I've been to, so I can't talk for the rest. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of, who are ideal customers and what kind of analytics I use. It is all on Excel at the moment.
Okay.
Most of my sales have been happening through offline sales.
Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah.
So what I tend to do is, after the exhibition is over, I kind of try to capture, where the customer is from. I make an approximation of what the age group she might be of. That's again an approximation, not an exact figure. That's just for my reference though. And I know what kind of garments they buy. So we record that, what kind of design they like, what sizes they prefer. And then I kind of use that data to work on further collections that I have, to plan my next collection or the future collection, to say, okay, I know a certain type of dress, like for example, a kaftan dress is done really well in the city and they predominantly cater to these sizes. And so I kind of use that information to, plan either selling during a pop-up or otherwise making my next collection. That's kind of how, so it's all very just intuitive rather than structured and planned right now, at least. So that's
I mean, it makes sense. Right now you're starting off and you're trying getting more through offline, and slow fashion being more touch driven and experience driven. So that makes totally sense. So moving little gear to more your operations and understanding, like how do you source and manufacture, how do you find your vendors, as you said, like Google and Instagram to research. Do you follow any other process to enable this?
So when I started my research, aside from talking to people, using Instagram and searching actually for weavers, I went to our textile website, the garment website. I actually searched and took down a dump of weavers. It's an amazing thing. You have that information. I don't have the details right now because I don't remember. I did it a long time back.
Okay.
So you literally have by city the list of weavers and their phone numbers and what kind of fabrics they work with as well, or what kind of weaves they do, or what kind of artisan they are. It can be weavers, it can be anything at all. He could be working with paintings, it could be anything, but you literally have a list.
So there's a website there which talks about the different clusters at different districts and different cities.
Absolutely.
And did you find success in that through that?
But I didn't pursue too much because then after that I found my weaver through Instagram, and then I found you guys through Google search, and I found another company, the hemp fabrics that I pick up is from Bohico, the Bombay hemp company as well. I found online. So because I had my the three kind of fabrics that I wanted to work with, and I had my sources, I didn't really search too much at that point in time. But otherwise, another place is Etsy. Craftsmen kind of set up a store on Etsy. They were small store on Etsy. So I found that helpful as well. In Jaipur, I've reached out to block printers that way. So it most of my contacts, because I'm not from the industry and I don't have contacts, they've all been through research, looking purely, doing pure searches on Instagram, on Google, on Etsy.
Oh, that's lovely. That's quite a few, I think. Kind of, you can find the right vendors and everything. And the doing manufacturing is are you doing in-house or
so
manufacturing?
I work with a cut make trim unit. They work with smaller businesses.
Okay.
They don't just work with my business, they work with other businesses as well. And so they're based out of Delhi. So what I generally do is if I have a design idea, I ideate it with the person running it. They do the production for me based on something getting signed off. So that's generally the process I follow. So I'm working with multiple people. I work with weavers, sometimes separate dyers, but as much as possible, I try to get my weaver to work with dyers within the region, which is in Kutch right now. And then, of course, I work with my production unit. They send that back to me. And then, of course, I pack them, and I make sure that we're getting it out to my customers the way they kind of want it. That's my
great. Okay, brilliant. That's answer the questions. Next, probably you can talk about a little bit about how, I don't know if your team kind of sits out of Chennai itself, even if it's remotely or within a city. Is there any tools that you use, productivity tools, to kind of coordinate and manage tasks, because there's so much tasks going on parallelly, right?
I work on PowerPoint.
That's me.
It's the funniest thing ever, because I think my team has a good laugh when I do this. So even with my weaver, I'll make a PowerPoint explaining to him what I want. If there's something like a stitch or whatever needed, and he helps it. He has women in the village who do the embroidery as well. So I'll kind of layer that out in a PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is easy for me to work with, and I don't know any other design tools to work with. And then I'll convert it into a PDF and send it to him, so he has something to look at. I work the same way with my design team as well. I give them specifications to the T. There'll be text in it to explain what the measurements are at this angle, and draw arrows and all of that, literally end to end. And then rest of us is Excel, because I am a major Excel buff, and I'm obsessed with working with Excel, because I know I'm very old school that way. People probably laugh at it, but it's just that I find it very dependable, and maybe I find it easier to work with, so I've just been using it. So here again, in terms of what I have in production, I give my team the requirement, saying this design, these many pieces, this is the detail we need. All of that in an Excel, and they track that back on Excel to me, saying they've finished it and they've completed it. The costing for the pieces as well. Everything happens on Excel with my production team, and PowerPoint as well. So it's just that, and me here physically is just a book and paper. I mean, a book and a pen. And the other thing is a calendar. So I have a planner calendar where I put down everything that I need to get done. As in when our meeting is penciled in, I have something else to do, it's penciled in. So I'm always looking at it and I know I'm not missing anything. I'm somebody who needs that, touching a paper with a pen and writing. Remember, those two tasks, software work for me for some reason. I'm probably this old granny that works, it's against technology and can only work on paper.
But yeah, funny that you come from a technology background,
I
right?
know.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I know. Funny that I come from a fintech background, but then this is me. I just love working on paper and using my pen and writing my list of things.
No, writing is always better. That's no doubt about that. But like people use instead of book and pen and diary, some people use iPad. And there's a way you can use a particular kind of tools within iPad that helps you kind of jot down a lot of things. Otherwise, going through the books, old information will be difficult to kind of coordinate. Yeah, that's, you have found your own ways. Yeah,
I found my own, method to this madness.
Yeah. No, that's your path to kind of find the right way. Even a lot of people find the. I'm trying to kind of use Notion. It's like I've started like loving it. Only thing that it needs some learning. So like your books and something, but it's something.
I love the UI. I love how simple it looks, and I know that Notion kind of double up even as a CRM. I believe. I'm not sure. Is it?
Not as a CRM, I would say, but it can add as a tool to coordinate, tool to document, as a knowledge management tool. You can document everything. You can design. You can use as instead of Excel, you can still use for some functionality, but you can save information much more. Daily planner, for example, the meetings and everything that you can integrate pretty well. That's something I'm trying to do, but it's gonna take some time. But I'm not a pen and paper guy anyway. Even my education, I didn't like it. Unfortunately, but it's not the right way.
I mean, like you said, right? You just do what works for you.
So, let's move to something. I think you talked about fulfillment and shipping. So I opened your LinkedIn just to kind of open, and at the first post I saw like some ship rockets.
It's a rant
you must comment you have. I didn't read the whole through, but I understood you had some negative experience and that got resolved. Is that it? Like what happened with that? And are you using only ship rocket or anything else?
So I think one thing which I it's only ShipRocket. Earlier it was Picker, and then ShipRocket went and bought Picker. So I'm left with the ShipRocket right now. So earlier I was using both Picker and ShipRocket because then I thought, I had two options. So mainly for logistics, I use, again, it's integrated with Shopify. So I just the minute I trigger an order, it comes into the ShipRocket console, and it's very easy that way. I don't even have to enter the details. If the customer address is already there, it appears here, seamlessly integrated. So it's amazing that way. I think the problem is that ShipRocket as a company, I think has evolved. They've become bigger. They are doing a lot of things, but there are a few things in terms of processes which I think they've suddenly grown. And I think they're struggling with getting those few basic things right, because I see this being, a feedback that I hear on and off from peers in the industry. So my grouse was mainly that, it was not the first time, it had happened the second time. I'd left a post on social media, which is on LinkedIn, because I was frustrated. I worked with the weaver. It took us 2 to 3 months. And it was only 50 meters of fabric, but it took 2 to 3 months for my guy to get it out. And it got misplaced. I was sending it to my team in Delhi for them to make the garment. I had a collection planned out. And they misplaced that whole bag. And I had been constantly following up, and I didn't, there was no response. Finally, they said they'll give me a 2,000 rupee refund. And I was like, that's no compensation for the amount of work
that had gone through.
But the first time I didn't receive any response on social media. They acknowledged it and then nobody bothered about it. So I was massively angry, but then I let it pass. And then it happened again. And I had been closely working with ShipRocket. I just think some of their processes they need to sort. I think if they work on those bits, they'll be fine, because I think they are. Otherwise, their tool is easy to use. You're getting the orders, the minute I raise it, I can choose date and time when it needs to be picked up. And the guy, if he comes in, the courier guy comes in, it's prompt, it's all proper. And problem is, you have an intermediary and then you have a courier company and you're going through the intermediary. But if the intermediary can't control the experience with the courier guy, the logistic guy, then I don't need the intermediary. I'll just go directly. So I think that they have to still fix that gap a little. So was why you saw that big rant. And there are new companies. There are a lot of upcoming companies. I mean, if you ever use you should try out those guys like Nimbus Post. I think Logistics, and I think a lot more. I've heard of these two from the peers in the industry. So you should check them out as well.
I mean, one thing is that social media is another application of social media is to kind of rant out any negative experience that you have.
I don't do that because I'm conscious of the fact if they were a small business, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, small business obviously makes sense.
No?
People usually rant about because if they take steps, if they're in a big business, they have to take steps, and that's actually quite a good way. And secondly, for us, we tried Shipbroker initially, but first of all, we are located in a little rural place, so there's not a lot of integration. Secondly, we do a little bit of international, and Shipbroker is horrible in that. They have tried, but we found the experience horrible. So we have found out our own like limited resources of direct courier company, and in more rural ways, it mostly works with individuals. So there's it's not the courier company is there, but that's run by some agent who has a very limited kind of resources. So they'll very value the clients. Okay, you can like get any updates, from them. So you can't actually reach to Shipbroker, for example, even courier company, you can't reach it to the support team because they're a big company. If you reach the agent, they have connection. They'll update you very quickly. If you can find someone and works out best, even for international also, it works fast that way. You just email and they're like our account manager, and that's like they're working.
Logistics is a very tricky industry, and I don't blame Shipbroker entirely because I know it's tricky for them as well to navigate.
So that's
it's not really hear that constantly. So
great. So let's talk a little bit about which I think you have touched upon, but the design process, which you said that you use PowerPoint to kind of process the ideas.
I don't do design directly here, so I don't use any tools because I don't know of any tools, and I don't know how to use Illustrator.
But if your team uses or something,
I think they use CorelDRAW. I think they use that.
Okay.
So, but I don't personally know how to use any of those tools myself. So I'm still
makes sense.
I'm not in that. I don't have that experience, and I don't know how to work with those tools. But then this is how I kind of work. I make do with what we have in hand, and I just communicate design requirements to them.
It makes sense. I think people can transpire your ideas into physically.
What do you do? Do you work with tools yourself?
No, we don't. We're into fabrics, right?
Weaves and all that for that.
For fabrics, we don't need to use tools. You can use tools. You have tried in the sense, but fabrics can be more intuitive, and we develop new fabrics with different ideas. For garments, like for apparels, if you think about, we sometimes work with other designers. We have few clients and to develop what tools we can use. But not so much. Again, we're not a design company per se. We're more into tech and manufacturing. So that's something where you have to use. But I understand from other people. I don't know if in a last podcast that we'll be launching. So they talked about Procreate a lot as a tool.
I haven't
Procreate.
used.
So they said it's more for hand sketching instead of hand sketching. So Procreate helps a lot. That's what they're talking about. So that's probably.
It's like a proper design tool for people who draw and illustrate.
Draw, illustrate, and everything. So they're more designers and
Majority of what I'm working with is just very simple tools. I don't use anything very
complicated
to be honest, because one, we just started out a while back and we're still learning.
It's very new,
and it's just pretty much me running the whole show. Aside from me working with the team, it's just me running the whole show. So I do with, we manage with what we can do. But there are certain tools, even for people like me, who have to start somewhere. I think, like I said, things like this that you can use, be it Excel, be it PowerPoint to communicate. If you are comfortable, I think it's just become second in nature to me. I'd rather do a PowerPoint than, draw it on paper. So
Yeah,
think
right now,
the
yeah.
pitfalls of working, in corporate for like 18 years, I think is that.
Yeah, but PowerPoint Excel is like they're
You
timeless.
thrive on it. It's your bread and butter.
Timeless software, so they're going to stay. And irrespective, there are a few companies who are trying to kind of disrupt that space. But yeah, a lot of people are using it.
Yeah.
And okay, let's talk about that. I think payment platform. I'd like to understand your Razorpay and PayPal that you use point at. How's the experience like in the sense?
With which one? Sorry.
With the payment platform like Razorpay, PayPal, both are using, right? I mean, there's not online orders you said, but so far,
Razorpay is fine. It's fairly seamless. I don't think there's any issues we've had. So, if you ask me in terms of the payment options itself that we provide, because I do a lot of offline, I also use EDC machines, and so there are lots. You can do it with many providers. Like you have, the banks themselves doing, like ICICI Bank may give you, HDFC Bank may give you. I work with a company called M-Swipe. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're small timers, I guess. So they gave me a very basic functional EDC machine which I could use, and the transaction charges were very minimal. There are glitches on and off. For somebody who's an active user, you might have an issue, but I use it only for pop-ups. So it works very easily for me. It accepts most credit cards, maybe few international cards, not really. So I just work with either M-Swipe or Razorpay or Google Pay. So alternating between these modes of payments. And Razorpay is pretty seamless. So I mean, we also offer EMIs, but then nobody really wants to, buy a garment paying any EMI. But it's a functionality. You give them that because if somebody wants to badly buy it and they don't want to spend that money and have to pay for it right away, they just opt for the EMI and using simple the app or whatever on the site itself, the payment gateway itself.
Yeah, buy now pay later.
Buy now pay later kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so that's quite a lot of information. Lastly, we'll just move to a bit of rapid fire. Which probably might coincide with whatever we've discussed, but let's just go ahead with this to understand a little bit more. So can you name like one tool resources that had the most significant impact in your business? If you had to choose one tool.
Canva.
Okay. Yeah, lovely. More than Excel and PowerPoint probably.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Yeah. I mean, Excel is like, it's like paper and pen for me. So I don't think that's count it as a separate tool. It's part of the basics of our business really. So yeah.
Okay. And second would be, what area in your business do you believe that it needs some digital transformation immediately, urgently? That's not happening.
Data, handling data and recording data. So which is what I'm trying to do right now, where I'm trying to make sure all of the data I have of our customer base gets moved into Shopify. So it's in one central place where I can manage my marketing efforts as well. Like I can do my email marketing, anything that I want. Like I have one place where I have all of my customer data available. The other thing is even financial data, like the sales that we're making, our cash in, cash out. So I'm trying to get myself on Zoho Books. I'm still kind of experimenting. I haven't gotten into it. I don't know if you use Zoho Books though.
We use Zoho Books.
How is it? I mean, is it easy? No, painful? You laugh.
It's difficult I'm laughing because it's difficult to find people who can use Zoho Books, because India is from accounting, financial standpoint, because Tally is so much, because I have been conversant on a regular basis. Yeah. But we use Zoho Books for Zoho inventory management as well for online. So that way we had to use Zoho Books, and I am comfortable because this is an easy tool for you to kind of understand rather than Tally, which is like again age-old kind of. It's very difficult unless you come from that.
Friendly,
but finding people who can understand, it's a pain, and how they work on that, it's a pain for them as well, and but you can do it. Zoho Books is pretty good tool in my understanding.
I did have a question. So when you use Zoho Books, if I do feed in my invoices and all of that, it also helps me file my taxes as well? Because I know Tally to some way does, right?
No, Zoho Books has that feature where if you fill everything correctly, you can directly one click, you can file your taxes. But we used to do that initially, but again, I don't know, it's because of whatever reasons are, the CAs and accounts, they don't rely on Zoho Books. They don't, trust. They are like, it's a software, it'll lose data, you never know. So they get import the data. Yeah, they import the data Excel and then do it manually. But Zoho Books has a feature, they don't use it. So, and
Okay.
I can't like post them and check them. So that's difficult for me. But
Maybe
they
I
have that
should-
features. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just started, so I'm still learning. I'm trying to see how you can use Zoho Books, because
Yeah,
I want
if
to.
you need help, I can take you
Great,
through it because I use
great.
extensively, so I know a little bit about it.
Yeah. So so just that. I think data management, and then one is consolidation of it in one place, making it digital, so that there's no dependency on it, there's no losing of data, it's all available on cloud, and then utilizing it in such a way that I can actually have it in a central repository, and then I can do all my marketing efforts. That's kind of what I want to do with my data. I think that's something that we kind of, I think we need to do that right away, because if not, I'm not doing enough marketing on the customer base that I have, and I'm missing out on opportunity.
Do you use the CRM tool? Anything? I didn't ask that.
No, we
CRM?
don't. No,
Oh,
none
it should.
at the moment.
Okay, okay.
Would you
Email marketing tool. Email marketing, there's a lot many.
MailChimp, you mean, and the likes, right?
MailChimp is the usual one people know. Yeah, like for B2C kind of it works, and then Klaviyo, and there's a lot of you can just search. Yeah. But use like email marketing tools will be useful to get the data.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to are there any innovative products or concepts in the current fashion landscape that excite you? What's happening in fashion?
It is, in fact, the augmented reality shopping experience is something that, I am really watching. But it's very difficult, I know, to implement and things like that. So I think you need bigger budgets, probably deeper pockets. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to understand it. I don't know. But I'm really excited about it, because that means for someone, like, I think all of us innately like the experience of touching and feeling a fabric, or at least trying it on before we buy anything, especially garments.
Yeah.
This whole problem of this massive return that's happening in fashion is also because people can't try it. So what are you doing? You see a model who looks nothing like you. You assume it looks amazing on you because it looked amazing on her, or him, or whatever. And then you pick it up, and then when you wear it, you realize it's anything similar to what it looked like on the model. So I think if we do that, if we remove that barrier to shop online, because I enjoy shopping online. I prefer shopping online. Now I've kind of learned how to shop online. I really know to pick my pieces. I rarely return pieces now. Like initially, I used to do a lot of return when I was way younger as well. Because I know now, I know what to look for. I zoom in, zoom out. But I think if you can reduce that barrier for the customer, I'm hearing of international brands like Burberry, who's doing it where people can actually see how the bag looks or a belt looks. And similarly, there are some brands which I think is in China, where people just pass by like a virtual area, and that they can stand and look at that mirror, and the dress kind of fits on them, and they know the dress looks good on them. That's another level altogether. So it's not anything. I think simple thing is Carrot Lane. If you not Carrot Lane, not even Carrot Lane, Lenskart.
Lenskart, I was going to tell.
So
they use it in offline stores.
I have picked up my glasses, and I've been happy with my purchase because I take my picture. I know that I'm trying out my frame, and I know it looks good on me. And that's such a smart move, because I'm sure a lot of people struggle, especially with glasses, right? Only when you wear it, you know it'll look good or not. So they kind of remove that barrier to customers' experience. And I think that's something that I'm really excited about. I don't know if we'll ever get to that, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, with glasses is completely easy, but that's definitely it's something. I have heard one which there's this Japanese billionaire, and who's the founder of this e-commerce brand, the shop. So he was selected for this Elon Musk, that first Mars tour or something, or space tour to Mars or something like that. So he had this concept where I think it's there in our also, where for the sizing actually, for sizing, because you don't know what will fit you. So they send you a more just a bodysuit with sensors on it. It's just very low cost. So you buy one time, and once you do it and when you put a camera, it kind of captures your sizing, and then from then onwards, it's based on the size, they suggest you all the right sizes of garments and everything. So next time whatever you do, you find the right size only.
So
You
it
will
is
not find
any website that I go to, or is it only specific to that person's brand?
that person's e-commerce. It's a large e-commerce brand.
Okay.
So where you get everything. For example, Myntra, might send you, and then everything you find on Myntra is a right size.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that's really
Yeah, so
interesting.
I think that kind of shopping experience will be really good. Like taking your own picture. I think that's something a German brand is doing as well. The customer takes their own picture and then I think uploads that into the app, and then they allow the customer to click on the garment, and the garment places itself on that image itself. So it looks good or not on you. Like you have to take a full-size image. A German brand is doing that. I forget the name of the brand. So that's all interesting. So
it'll take some time to understand how it plays out.
It'll take time for it to be in India full-fledged, and I think for us to take that kind of technology and implement it as well is going to take a long time. But it's interesting.
No, first, I think there should be a shift to slow fashion for Indians. That's it pending. So then I'll see this.
It's going to be a long journey because India as a market, we are more sensitive to price, and understandably, because the purchasing power of people is different. And as much as I would hate, to acknowledge it, that fast fashion has made fashion accessible for people who can't spend as much money.
Yeah, true.
So we can't probably eradicate it right away unless the buying power of people goes up, and I think it's a very long journey. So we're not as developed as a country yet, I think.
It's Maslow's hierarchy. So once you all needs are covered, then you will start looking for this. So that's there. And if you had to recommend one business or tool or software to fellow fashion founders, what would that be? Like Canva, probably?
Canva and ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT as well. For people who are starting out, who are low on budgets, who don't have enough resources, I would say start with ChatGPT. It makes your life a lot easier as well. Canva, of course, for marketing and for creating content, but then you have to do the creative side of thing and the copy. Creative and copy are all as well. So copy is something that you get from ChatGPT, and the creative element you can create on Canva. So I'd say they kind of mesh together, but ChatGPT as well for sure.
Do you learn any or the right way to kind of use ChatGPT, or did you like it's purely organic?
I just got on the tool when they launched it and
started using
experimented. I did horrible searches. I kept tweaking my search, kept tweaking, and then you kind of, and I don't think I'm using it, in the best possible manner, but I am using it in the best way that I think helps me, and it helps me for sure. But I'm sure there's a lot more functionality which I'm sure I know there is, and I'm not using it. So, but it is definitely a tool that, and I think a lot of them are getting on it. I don't even need to mention it. A lot of founders, a lot of brands do use ChatGPT, and they know how to use it extensively. So
Okay. That's wonderful. And is there any particular startup or fashion startup or business that you admire or look up to?
So in terms of the business and the way it's run, No Nasties is a sustainable brand. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No Nasties. The Goa based, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I love the fact that they're very transparent. They talk about who they're working with. They do a lot of things aside from that sale that comes back. Planting trees is just one thing, and then I think there are a lot of other initiatives that they simultaneously do. They try to make their design low waste or zero waste and things like that, and also that their efforts have played out over the years. They've been around for a while, and they've established themselves as the leader in sustainable fashion in a way in India, and even globally they're quite well recognized as a brand, honest and trustworthy in terms of their claims to being sustainable. So I think like that. Aesthetics, they don't necessarily match all of my kind of aesthetics. I mean, they're as a business, and their approach is what I really kind of like. I like what the brand stands for.
No, definitely. No, it's very.
And even the founder, I think he makes it a point to talk about things very openly, and I like that. He relates to the audience as well. I see that on Instagram. I see that on social media and otherwise. So I like that. I like the whole approach that they have to it.
Definitely. I mean, they started that pure, transparent, and organic brand when there's not much concept in India. So definitely. And are there any peer entrepreneurs or business individuals who serves as a source of inspiration from you? Not brand, but individuals.
So, the ex-CEO of Okai, Kirti Punya.
Yeah.
So when I started doing my research for SlowThreads, I was reading her story on Okai and how she kind of was instrumental in getting Okai to the level it was, and working with artisans who were in rural villages who didn't know to use a system or computer. And but I think the fact that she rolled up her sleeves, got down to working and making that process a success, and empowering so many artisans in a village, I think it's really nice to see that. And even after she moved on, now she's the founder, she's co-founded it along with her husband, a brand called
Relove. I know Relove.
So I really like the fact, I admire her journey. And what I also like is that she's someone who's always talking about the challenges and what one can do, and she's happy to share things which will help another business. Very open with that. And I think I like that about her. I find that rather than inspiring, I think I admire that in her, and I really like that approach, and I would like to be like that someday.
Definitely that's a lovely example. And the last question from the rapid fire is that could you provide one valuable networking tip for those people who are navigating through the slow fashion community to reach out to the right people? Is there a networking, how do you
I would say just be informed, stay informed, read up, follow people who are thought leaders in the industry. You now, and today's day and age is very easy. You have podcasts, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you have ways in which you can follow people who are thought leaders. And when they talk about, let's say, a concept and approach that's working, or challenging certain concepts and thought processes when it comes to slow fashion, saying, okay, that's not really sustainability, but it's greenwashing. People basically saying they're being sustainable, but not really being sustainable. And I think if you keep your eyes and ears open, and if you're watching that, and if you join workshops, if you join seminars, they come your way when you do that. And be a part of that, and be open. Don't assume that you know everything, even with what you know. I think the learning never ends. So just that. And then, of course, make it a point to be part of every workshop that you can, or even that you can. If you get an opportunity, be there, be a part of it. Because you know what benefit you get out of each one of those. You learn something from somewhere or the other. I think that's the only way you really grow. And then people know you. This person runs a slow fashion brand, or they run a sustainable brand. And, they say, they think of you. You come to their field as well. And then you learn as well. So that would be my only tip. And that's the only thing I know, rather.
No, that's definitely, that makes sense. The more you informed and more you kind of start looking for that, you'll find out. So, just come to the last question for today. Is that what's your future vision for SlowThreads? What you're trying to kind of see 5 years down the line? What do you see?
See, I mean, if I make tall claims I want to, I want slow fashion to be the norm in India and all, I think it's a bit of a tall claim to make. But as a brand, I want people, as a brand, what we really focus on is we want to be a body positive brand. We want people to say, this is my body, this is how I am, and I'm comfortable in it. And you make clothes for me. Don't try to ask me to fit into something that you're making. That's not how it should work. I think, unfortunately, our industry does work like that to a large extent. People try to fit themselves into clothing, which, they're forced to because they don't have another go. And I think, for people to feel comfortable in it and feel great in it and say, I can buy something that's eco-friendly and look great in it, and feel like I'm doing my bit to be responsible in the way I'm buying something. I think that's the whole experience I'd like to contribute to at the end. People know us as a brand. They come to us because they like what they're buying from us. And as for us, we'd like to be able to work with more and more artisans. So more people being impacted through our brand in a nice way. I mean, be it through better opportunities for them, be it through the experience of buying from us. So I'd like to be known as a brand that overall has a good impact, makes them feel good. 3 or 4 years down the line. At the same time, I hope as a brand we've grown as well by then, and we become a better established brand.
No, that's all the best to you guys to achieve that. I'm sure like the way you are going ahead, there's definitely a lot more positive things to come.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best to achieve that. And that's it from my side. And thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank
it was
you,
a
Amit.
very
Thanks.
interesting conversation, because you come from a different industry, so you have the different perspective for sure, and that's what visible from the conversation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope I didn't, bore you with a lot of my banter. I tend to get too excited and carried away. Yeah.
Not at all. It was very interesting conversation. But it was great to kind of have you and talk about your journey. And
Thanks.
probably I'd love to revisit, a few months or a couple of weeks down the line to see when your brand grows to something more bigger.
Thank you so much for saying that, and thank you for taking this time out, because I think this just the fact that you reached out and asked me to kind of talk through us. We're still a small brand, we're still a growing brand, and it just made us feel nice that we felt a bit acknowledged. So I think that's a nice feeling. So thanks for doing that. Thanks so much.
No,